All right, so for more now, we're joined by Chris Kofinis, Democratic strategist and campaign vet, Katie Packer, MSNBC contributor and deputy campaign manager on Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential campaign. Good to have you both here. And Chris, let me start with you. As someone who has maneuvered through campaign situations before, how would you advise the Trump camp at this point, especially when the narrative has been, we've heard this from Corey Lewandowski, let Trump be Trump?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. I'm not sure I'm smart enough to figure out how to coach or advise Donald Trump. The problem he has, and I think the campaign has, but it's obviously him. He's still in a primary Republican mode. And what he, I think, has not come to terms with is when you get to the general election and you're talking about, key battlegrounds where the pool of voters that you're trying to win over that are going to decide whether you win those critical states like Virginia and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Florida, those tend to be more the moderate, independent, swing type of voters. They can vote both sides, and when they look at someone like Donald Trump and the last few days he's had, but really the last many months he's had, the erratic statements, the troubling statements, the divisive statements, it not only just gives them pause, it gives them alarm. And I can tell you, Thomas, we've done focus groups my firm is in Ohio, we've done them in Las Vegas, and it's one of the things that undecided voters bring up again and again, his rhetoric and the fear they have that he's not ready for the job, which is in stark contrast to what they say to Hillary. So until they get a handle of that, and I'm not sure it's possible, it just doesn't seem like he has that in him. I think we're going to have a repeat of what we're seeing again and again and again right up to Election Day. So,
Katie, let me talk to you about this. And I know that you are not a fan of Donald Trump, and you have worked to try to make other folks be the nominee at this point. We know NBC News reporting today that Republican leaders, they could be staging an intervention this weekend. And I think in Chris's point about, we expect a pivot in the general, but he's not the typical candidate. He has no experience doing this and has had wild success because of that. And I think of Maya Angelou, and she's like, when someone, shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So why would anybody in the Republican Party and trusted advisors that want to intervene with Trump think that they could actually steer him in a different direction?
Well, I think they're hoping against hope. I do think it's a little bit unrealistic. If I were advising Donald Trump and thought that Donald Trump would listen to any advice, I would just say, look, shut up. Get off the road. Go dark for a few days. Don't do speeches. Get off of Twitter. Just be quiet for a few days and sort of regroup. This is a time that he should be focusing on very serious things like debates that are coming up where he's going to be tested on significant policy issues.
Well, we can't even get him down. We can't even get him down on debate schedule. Do you think that'll happen, Katie? Do you think that he will not attend debates?
I do think ultimately it will happen because I don't think he even realizes. He's such a narcissist, he doesn't even realize how ill-prepared he is. And Hillary Clinton is going to be a very tough debate opponent. That's what he should be focusing on and not worrying about all of this sort of back and forth and defending himself from every slight that gets launched against him.
So, Chris, what do you think about Paul Manafort's future here? He was on Fox News earlier today trying to deal with questions about the campaign chaos and that intervention question specifically. Does it seem as if there's a loss of control of this campaign ship?
What control has there ever been? The reality is Donald Trump is both the campaign manager, the campaign strategist, the communications director, the field director. He holds every position in that campaign. And listen, I've worked with candidates that are somewhat, let's say, self-centered. No one has ever come close to this, especially at the presidential level, in such a self-destructive way. And listen, you're talking about an intervention. You're not talking about a shift in strategy. We should move resources from Colorado to Ohio. You're talking about a candidate that is seemingly looking mentally unstable. And that would be funny if this was an episode of Veep. It is not. This is real life, and we're talking about the presidency and the reality that the President of the United States has the control, if nothing else, over 7,000 nuclear weapons. And the idea that you have someone who is this thin-skinned and this erratic is deeply concerning. And I don't say that just as a Democrat. I say that as an American. And I think that's where Republicans are and Republican leadership is. And I think that's where a lot of real, moderate, reasonable Americans are looking at him and going, my goodness, this man has a chance to win the White House, and I'm not sure an intervention goes to the depths of what needs to happen here.
Chris Kofinis, Katie Packer, great to have you both on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. A California congresswoman calling on the GOP to require Trump to take a mental fitness test, kind of based off of what Chris was saying right there. Representative Karen Bass, who is spearheading this effort, will join me next.